In 1513, a Turkish admiral named Piri Reis drew a map. It was detailed, it was accurate, and it showed something that should have been completely impossible. It showed Antarctica, the coastline of Antarctica, in precise detail, 300 years before Antarctica was supposedly discovered. But that is not even the strangest part. The coastline on the Piri Reis map does not show Antarctica as it looks today, buried under kilometers of ice. It shows Antarctica as it would look without the ice, the actual rock coastline beneath the ice sheet, a coastline that modern ground-penetrating radar only mapped in the 20th century. How did a Turkish admiral in 1513 draw a map of a coastline that was buried under ice and would not be discovered for another 300 years? That question has never been answered, and it is just the beginning of what the evidence suggests about Antarctica's hidden past. Welcome back to Mysterious History, the channel where the official story is never the whole story. Today, we are going to the most remote and inhospitable place on Earth, a continent covered in ice, larger than Europe, almost completely unexplored beneath its frozen surface. Antarctica. The official story is that Antarctica was discovered in 1820, that it has been covered in ice for millions of years, that no human civilization has ever existed there. But a growing body of evidence suggests the official story is missing something significant, something frozen beneath kilometers of ice, waiting to be found. The Piri Reis map is one of the most debated documents in the history of cartography. Piri Reis was an Ottoman admiral and cartographer, a serious and respected figure in the history of navigation. He compiled his famous world map in 1513 using what he described as older source maps, some of which he claimed dated back to the time of Alexander the Great. The map shows the Atlantic Ocean with reasonable accuracy for its time. It shows the coastlines of Europe, Africa, and the Americas. And along the bottom, it shows a landmass that researchers in the 20th century identified as Antarctica. In 1960, a United States Air Force officer named Harold Ohlmeyer wrote a letter to researcher Charles Hapgood about the map. Ohlmeyer confirmed that the southern coastline on the Piri Reis map matched the subglacial topography of Antarctica, the rock coastline beneath the ice, with remarkable accuracy. His conclusion was extraordinary. The source maps that Piri Reis used must have been drawn when Antarctica was not covered in ice, when its coastline was visible and accessible, which according to mainstream science means at least 6,000 years ago, long before any known civilization had the capability to explore the Southern Ocean. Mainstream cartographers and historians have pushed back on this interpretation. Some argue the southern landmass on the map is not Antarctica at all, but a distorted representation of South America. Others argue the similarities to the subglacial coastline are coincidental. But the debate has never been fully resolved, and the Piri Reis map continues to sit at the center of one of the most fascinating controversies in the history of exploration. Modern technology has given us an extraordinary picture of what lies beneath Antarctica's ice sheet, and it is remarkable. Ground-penetrating radar and satellite gravity measurements have revealed a continent of stunning geographic diversity beneath the ice. Mountain ranges larger than the Alps, valleys deeper than the Grand Canyon, lakes, hundreds of them, liquid lakes sitting beneath kilometers of ice maintained by geothermal heat from below. Lake Vostok is the most famous. larger than Lake Ontario, sitting beneath 4 kilometers of ice, completely isolated from the surface world for somewhere between 15 and 25 million years. When scientists drilled into Lake Vostok, they found something unexpected: microbial life, thriving in complete isolation in liquid water beneath 4 kilometers of Antarctic ice. But the subglacial geography of Antarctica is not just scientifically interesting. It raises a profound historical question. If Antarctica was once ice-free, even partially, what would it have looked like? The answer is extraordinary. A continent with vast coastal plains, river valleys, temperate regions capable of supporting vegetation, and potentially human habitation. This is where mainstream science and alternative research converge on a genuinely fascinating question. Was Antarctica ever ice-free during a period when modern humans existed? The mainstream answer is complicated. Antarctica began glaciating around 34 million years ago, long before modern humans appeared. But the ice sheet has not been static. It has expanded and contracted multiple times in response to climate shifts. During warmer interglacial periods, parts of Antarctica may have been significantly less glaciated than today. Some researchers have proposed that coastal regions of Antarctica could have been accessible and potentially habitable as recently as 12,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age. This is the same period we have discussed in previous episodes, the period of dramatic sea level rise that may have destroyed coastal civilizations around the world. If any human presence existed on the coastal margins of Antarctica 12,000 years ago, the evidence would now be buried under kilometers of accumulated ice and sediment, completely inaccessible to conventional archaeology. In recent years, satellite imaging of Antarctica has revealed a series of anomalies beneath the ice that have generated significant interest and significant controversy. In 2012, researchers analyzing satellite gravity data detected what appeared to be an enormous structure beneath the ice in Wilkes Land, roughly 250 kilometers across. Some researchers suggested this could be the remains of a massive asteroid impact crater. Others proposed more controversial explanations. In 2016, a YouTube video claiming to show a pyramid-shaped mountain in Antarctica went viral globally. The Pyramid Mountain is real. It has been photographed and confirmed. But geologists explain it as a pyramidal peak, a natural formation created by glacial erosion on multiple faces of a mountain simultaneously. Similar formations exist in the Alps and other mountain ranges worldwide. The Pyramid Mountain is almost certainly natural, but it sparked a wave of interest in Antarctic anomalies that has not subsided. In the same year, researchers from NASA announced the discovery of a massive heat source beneath the ice in West Antarctica, a geothermal hotspot producing more heat than Yellowstone's supervolcano. The implications for ice sheet stability are significant, and the question of whether this heat source could have maintained an ice-free region in the relatively recent past is genuinely interesting. One of the most dramatic theories about Antarctica's past involves a concept called crustal displacement, first proposed seriously by researcher Charles Hapgood in his 1958 book, Earth's Shifting Crust. The theory suggests that the outer crust of the Earth can shift as a whole relative to the inner layers, moving entire continents to different latitudes in a geologically short period of time. Hapgood proposed that Antarctica was once located further north, in a temperate climate zone, inhabited by a civilization. and that a crustal displacement event around 12,000 years ago rapidly moved the continent to its current polar position, flash freezing whatever existed there. Under kilometers of rapidly accumulating ice, the mainstream scientific consensus rejects crustal displacement as Hapgood described it. The geological evidence does not support a rapid shift of this kind in the recent past. But Albert Einstein, who wrote the foreword to Hapgood's book, considered the theory worthy of serious investigation, and the core question it raises remains open. If an advanced civilization existed on Antarctica before it was fully glaciated, what would remain of it today? The answer is almost certainly nothing accessible to conventional archaeology. It would be buried, frozen, preserved perhaps, but beyond our current ability to reach. Here is the honest position. We do not know what is under the Antarctic ice sheet. We have mapped its broad geography using remote sensing technology. We have drilled into it at a handful of locations. We have found unexpected things: ancient microbial life in subglacial lakes, geothermal hotspots, geographic features of remarkable scale and complexity. What we have not done is conduct anything resembling a systematic archaeological survey of the continent. Because we cannot. The ice is too thick. The conditions are too extreme. The technology to do it does not yet exist, which means the question of whether any human presence ever existed on Antarctica before the ice came remains genuinely open, not proven, not disproven, simply unknown. And in the history of mysterious places, unknown is always the most interesting answer. A Turkish admiral drew a map in 1513 that showed a coastline nobody was supposed to know about. Satellites have found mountains, valleys, lakes, and heat sources beneath kilometers of Antarctic ice. Ancient source maps described by Peary Race suggest someone explored the Southern Ocean long before any known civilization had the capability to do so. And beneath the ice, in perfect frozen preservation, lies whatever existed on that continent before the cold came. We cannot reach it yet. Our technology is not there, but it is there, waiting in the ice. The way the best secrets always wait, patiently, certain that eventually someone will come looking. Subscribe to Mysterious History for new mysteries every week. The official story is never the whole story. Coming up next on Mysterious History, a 2,000-year-old device recovered from a shipwreck off the coast of Greece. It could calculate the movements of the sun, moon, and planets with extraordinary precision. The technology to build it was not supposed to exist for another 1,500 years. The Antikythera mechanism. Next week on Mysterious History.